Let's jump right into this explainer and unpack something we have literally all experienced, even if we don't really talk about it. You know exactly what I mean. You're staring at your phone, silently praying those three little typing dots magically turn into a "Hey, can we reschedule" text. Today, we're talking about the deeply relatable and kinda taboo feeling of cancellation relief. We're going to break down the fascinating psychology behind why canceled plans bring us such a sudden rush of joy, and why, honestly, that reaction is totally normal.
Seriously? Have you ever secretly hoped they'd cancel? We've all been there. You make plans on a Tuesday and you're genuinely excited about them. But then Friday evening actually rolls around and you find yourself just staring at your screen, desperately hoping they back out. You've been looking forward to it all week, but the second that notification pops up saying they can't make it, bam, a massive wave of relief just washes right over you.
What you're feeling in that exact moment is a recognized psychological phenomenon known as cancellation relief. It's basically an instant dopamine hit of reclaimed time and freedom. And the absolute best part, it comes completely devoid of any guilt because you aren't the one who had to back out. Psychology actually tells us that experiencing this sudden dopamine rush doesn't mean you're antisocial, it doesn't mean you're boring, and it definitely doesn't mean you don't value your friends.
What's really happening here is a hidden conflict between two very different versions of you. First, there's your planning self. This is that highly optimistic version of you from earlier in the week who genuinely craves social connection and happily makes those Friday plans. But then, you have the experiencing self. This is present-day you, the one who is deeply exhausted and running on incredibly limited mental energy after a long, draining week.
Deconstructing the exhaustion. 5 reasons we crave cancellation.
Reason number 1, your cognitive energy is just totally exhausted. The psychology here shows that throughout your week, stress and daily responsibilities essentially eat up your mental energy. By the time your plans actually arrive, your tank is completely empty. It's that feeling where just the thought of figuring out what to wear or the absolute dread of finding parking downtown makes you want to crawl into bed. When you're in that state, even the most casual social interaction feels completely overwhelming.
And the crucial takeaway here is that your brain isn't rejecting your friends. The relief you feel is just your nervous system finally exiting a state of constant demand and finally returning to a state of rest. It's a biological need to just recover.
This brings us to reason number 2. Your brain actively craves a sense of freedom. Think about your average day. Most of your waking hours belong to work or your family or some sort of obligation. So when a plan gets canceled, it suddenly creates this highly coveted, entirely unexpected pocket of personal time that you didn't even know you were going to get.
Reclaiming that time gives you an instant feeling of autonomy. All of a sudden, there is absolutely zero pressure from external expectations. Psychologically, it's incredibly liberating to possess a block of time that feels 100% yours. It's just this rare, beautiful moment of total freedom.
Moving to number 3, you are instinctively seeking psychological safety. As humans, our brains naturally prefer environments that are predictable and familiar. It's just evolutionary survival. And this underlying preference for the familiar plays a massive role in why we suddenly just want to hunker down in the comfort of our own homes.
Think about it like this. Going out inherently involves a lot of uncertainty. You have to navigate new conversations, different environments, and take on minor social risks. But staying home, that offers absolute predictability, which creates a really powerful sense of security for your brain. For an exhausted mind, the absolute safety of your couch is almost always going to beat out the high stimulation and uncertainty of going out into the world.
Reason number 4 is all about how we process rewards. Immediate rewards almost always beat future social goals. Our brains are hardwired to prefer a reward we can get right now, this very second, over a reward we might get later. It's classic instant gratification.
We all know social connection has profound long-term value. But man, the immediate reward is so hard to beat. We're talking about lying on the couch in your softest sweatpants at 6 p.m. and getting that instant dopamine hit. Plus, socializing requires you to perform emotionally. When your brain weighs that emotional cost against the glorious immediate reward of staying in your pajamas, the couch wins almost every single time.
Now, this brings us to a slightly heavier, maybe more vulnerable concept. Ask yourself this: are you avoiding the spotlight?
That is reason number 5. You're avoiding emotional exposure. Sometimes we hope a plan gets canceled because we just don't have the emotional bandwidth to be seen by other people. If you're feeling stressed, confused, or just carrying a heavy mental load, social interaction can feel like a huge risk of emotional exposure.
In those moments, wanting to isolate isn't you being antisocial. It's actually a highly strategic way for your brain to reduce stimulation and hold on to a sense of control. The validating truth, a biological triumph of self-care.
Look, feeling relieved when a plan falls through isn't a character flaw. It doesn't mean your relationships are failing. It is often a glaring biological sign that you've just been carrying way more than your mind was meant to handle alone. It's literally your brain pulling the emergency brake and prioritizing recovery so you don't burn out.
It really boils down to this. Sometimes the absolute most productive thing you can do is simply allow yourself to exist without an audience. True self-care sometimes means letting your experiencing self win for the night, just so you can exist without the pressure to perform for anyone else.
So, I want to leave you with this question to ponder. What is your brain trying to tell you the next time you hope a plan gets canceled? Listen to that exhaustion, give yourself a little grace, and let yourself off the hook. If you enjoy diving into the hidden psychology behind the things we all do, make sure to subscribe to this explainer. Because once you understand how the mind actually works, you start seeing things in yourself and others that most people totally miss. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you next time.